G'day, I'm Dave, Out and About with Dave, and I'm doing another video in line with George's 4x4 recovery gear. What I've decided to do on this one, we've previously spoken to you about a direct line pull, a single line pull, and I've given you some calculations and things like that for it. What I want to explore now is an indirect pull. So what that means is there's no tree behind me, say that I'm stuck and I want to get straight out. Pretend there's no trees. And what I want to do is come off that tree with this tree protector, a winch extension rope, a soft shackle and a pulley. So that tree protector there is 14 tonne, and I'll get to that why in a minute. And we've got the winch extension there is 9.5 tonne, and we've got the soft shackle there at 20 tonnes, and the ring itself is 11 tonnes. So we've got a fair bit there for my 3.2, 3.5 car. Okay. But what I want to explore with you is just be aware that you need heavier gear for an indirect pull than you might do with a direct pull, and I'll get to that. So with this now, and you'll see that that winch ring is coming off all the time. I'm going to go and put a pulley block on. Okay, that's a bit better. So, as I say, I haven't got a tree behind me, pretend, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce off another tree like this. So I'm going to come and attach this end of the winch to this tree here. And you can see now, when I pull on the winch, it's going to take me in a straight line. The only thing is though, what we've done is we've added a load to this. That tree protector and everything else is under no load. The minute I come and do an indirect like this, it puts a small load on it. Come over here now, and it's putting a bigger load on that there. And for those who want to watch on for the video, I'll give you some real calculations for that. But it's enough to say that we're now putting a bigger load on there. If there's 1 tonne there, for example, 1 tonne here, we've got something like 100 kilos on that. As we get over here, and we start doing, say, 120 degrees in here, we've now got 1 tonne, 1 tonne, 1 tonne. So that's in equilibrium, 120 degrees in there. So there's 120, 120, 120. And that's the way it works. But as soon as we come down here to say 90 degrees, we've now got a load on there about 1.4 times. So if that was a tonne, that was a tonne, that's now 1.4. And as we keep on coming around, and we come around like this, and you're getting this angle shallower in there, like smaller angle, you're putting up to 2 times the load on there. So if you've got a 3 tonne car, you've now got 6 tonne on that winch extension rope and everything else. And that's why when you're looking at winch extension straps or tree protectors or even soft shackles and rings, you need to go up an extra size, starting at 2 times at least. But because you're going to be dragging your car out of a bog, not just flat ground like this, you need to look at probably 3 times, 4 times even maybe. Depends on the sort of terrain you're going to be pulling in. But that's all I wanted to cover off now. As I say, you can just take my word for it at the moment, or you can watch on and see the calculations that we use in doing these exact angles. So if you go to George's 4x4 recovery, who's given me all this gear here to show you, have a chat with him and he'll explain it further with you and give you some real demonstrations for your vehicle and your scenarios and your type of recovery. Not many people would want to recover with this sort of indirect line back, but sometimes your mate might be behind you, you can't get around, so he's going to pull you forward by pulling backwards. Okay, just another scenario to consider, and happy to go into all that in more detail, and so is George. But watch on if you're interested in this and see how you go. So it's probably best to say before we move on to the actual details and the diagrams I'm going to show you, that when we're talking about indirect pulls, we are not talking about hooking up to the car, up to the recovery points of the car and pulling like that. Then you get a 2-to-1 ratio where you're actually halving the loads on here, but you've still got, say, for a 1-ton car, you've got a 1 ton at that point, 1 ton at that point there. So that's that. What we're talking about indirect is we're coming back here to a tree behind me, or we're going to a car or something like that to generate that indirect pull. So we're relying on the pulley at the tree, at the anchor, or the car at that end, and we're pulling, coming off and redirecting. Okay, so that's what a redirection is, not fixing to the car, because that's a different game, and you're halving the loads on these ropes, and you've still got the same car load at that end on the anchor point. All right, hope that helps. Okay, so if you've got this far, I expect that you're a little bit more interested in why I'm saying about the loads in a redirection recovery. So here we're going to go take an example. I've got here 2 scales. That's 1 kilogram, 2 500-gram weights, making it 1 kilo. I've got scales there, 1 kilo, and I've got scales there, 1 kilo. So if that's your anchor point there, be it a tree, be it a car, and or even the car's winching you, or you're winching to the car to recover yourself, there's a ton load here and a ton load there. Now, if your car's 3 tons or 4 tons, whatever, you need to multiply that out, what we're going to do in discovering this. And let's have a look now at the effect of a redirection. We've discussed this type of recovery in my earlier videos, and there'll be a link somewhere in the description. But what we're going to do now is have a look at redirections, as I say. Let's fire away. So let's start off at 150 degrees in here. That's actually 30 degrees, just for the sake of understanding that. So 180 minus the 30 is 150 degrees. We're going to multiply now of 0.5. So if that's a ton, that's a ton. That in there is 500 kilograms, half a ton, half of your load. 3-ton car, 1.5 ton load on the soft shackle and the pulley ring and the tree. Let's turn now to 135. And in here, that's 45 degrees, just so you can estimate it better on the site. And that gives you a multiplier of 0.7. So starting to get higher. These loads here are forcing on this soft shackle. You can see the 700 kilograms there. So this next angle now, we've got 120 in here. Now, that's a magic number in effect, because 120, 120, 120, 360 is a third of that 360 circle, and your multiplier is actually 1. So 1 ton, and the soft shackle is a ton as well. So it's an equilibrium. Everything's pulling in the right direction at the same amount. Now 90 degrees, you may not do this too often, but 90 degrees is 1.4 times multiplier. So 1 ton again, 1.4 up here. So now we're getting into a situation where there may not be any trees around you up in this direction, but you've got one here and you're doing something down here, and we've got something like 35 degrees in here. Okay, but the multiplier now has crept up to 1.9. You're starting to look for a stronger soft shackle, you're starting to look for a stronger tree, and you're putting more load on everything, but these are still staying at the 1 ton. Okay, 1 ton, 1.9 tons there. So now, getting as close as I can to 0 degrees in here, we've got a multiplier of 2 times, because you've got a ton here, a ton there holding it back, and there's your 2 tons. So when you're looking at the soft shackles, don't just look at the load of your car. We need to look at these sort of scenarios if they're going to happen. This is a tree, you want to go forward to get out of the problem. Remembering, of course, you've always got reverse, but you want to go forward. You've got 2 times multiplier in here, bigger soft shackles, bigger trees, and that's the way where it is. So you might want to look at the fact that also, if you're recovering this car, it's obviously stuck for a reason. So it's not just the weight of the car, there's a multiplier involved here by the time you're getting out of the mud or up the hill. Hope that makes sense. And for those who want a little bit extra, here's a graph showing you the multipliers worked on the degrees that we've spoken about so far.